Sometimes gon' come and go. Baby, you just gotta make up your mind that every little thing's gonna be alright. Baby, don't you know all of them things gon' come and go. Baby, you just gotta make up your mind. We decided we're gonna be alright.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Kevin, and like, subscribe if you want more content like this. But today I'm going to be talking about the Madonna-Whore Complex. But before I start, I just want to mention that I got a haircut. I shaved my beard. I have the lights off because my roommates refused to turn the AC on. So yeah, it's really hot in the house, and I have literally, let me show you. The fan has been on 24/7, but I have a new little setup for when I want to film at night. I don't know how long the lights are gonna last, so if I switch over to my ceiling light, rest in peace. But since we're talking about like the Madonna-Whore Complex, it reminded me of like Venus and stuff like that, and like love. I don't know why I'm not calling her a whore or anything, but it's just giving like relationships, so I wanted to put the background to match. And I also have another light, a spotlight, which I don't have. It's kind of bad. I need a fill light too, but you know what, we're working with what we got. So yeah, that's the few updates. But I'm gonna talk about the Madonna-Whore Complex, which is a concept first identified by Sigmund Freud. But I'm also going to relate it to how it relates to the queer community, because obviously I feel like we need to think about more nuanced topics like that. And I feel like this will be a fun video because I've always been fascinated by the Madonna-Whore Complex and straight men. But I'm like, does that translate to gay men or queer people or queer masculine identifying people? He, she, we, he, they.
Transgender. He, she.
I'm just going to read like the definition, and then I'm going to, we're going to roll from there. So the Madonna-Whore Complex, a psychological concept first identified by Sigmund Freud. This complex describes a split perception of women as either pure and virtuous, the Madonna, or sexual and degraded, the whore. This binary thinking can deeply affect relationships, intimacy, and societal attitudes towards women. Origins and explanation. Freud proposed that some men struggle to integrate their sexual desires with their feelings of respect and love for women. This results in the categorization of women into two extreme roles: the Madonna, the mother figure, seen as pure, nurturing, and virtuous, associated with motherhood, marriage, and respect, idealized but often not desired sexually, as she represents something sacred. The whore, sexual object, seen as sexually available, seductive, and immoral, desired for pleasure but not respected, often perceived as unworthy of love, marriage, or deep emotional connection. This complex leads to the paradox where a man may struggle to be sexually attracted to women he loves and respects, while being drawn to women he sees as sexually permissible but unworthy of long-term commitment. Psychological and societal impact. In relationships, men with this complex may have difficulty maintaining sexual attraction to their long-term partners, leading to frustration, infidelity, or dissatisfaction. In society, reinforces the idea that women must choose between being respectable or desirable, often limiting their anatomy and self-expression. On women, can cause internalized shame, difficulty expressing sexuality, and struggle with self-worth. Modern perspectives. While rooted in Freud psychoanalysis, the Madonna-Whore Complex is still relevant in contemporary discussions of gender roles, relationships, and sexuality. Many psychologists see it as a reflection of patriarchal attitudes rather than an innate psychological condition. Overcoming the Madonna-Whore Complex, self-awareness, recognizing and challenging these thought patterns. Therapy, addressing unconscious bias and emotional barriers. Cultural shifts, encouraging more nuanced, balanced representation of women in media and relationships. Okay, now how does this relate to the queer community and queer men, or queer masculine identifying people? The Madonna-Whore Complex, MWC, if you want to do it in like abbreviations, absolutely shows up in the queer community, especially among queer men, though it manifests a bit differently than it does in straight male-femme dynamics. The core dynamic splitting desirability and respect. At its root, the Madonna-Whore Complex is about splitting people into worthy of love but not sex, or worthy of sex but not love. In queer male relationships, this can still apply, but with layers of internalized misogyny, homophobia, femphobia, and patriarchal values. How it shows up in the queer community. Femphobia and internalized homophobia. In queer male spaces, femme-presenting or emotionally expressive men are often seen as less than or not taken seriously as romantic partners. They may be highly desired sexually, fetishized for their perceived submissiveness or performative femininity, but not considered for the long-term relationships. Too feminine, these are in quotes, too feminine to date but not enough to sleep with. This is the Madonna-Whore split, the idea that feminine equals hypersexualized and disposable, while masculine equals emotionally legitimate and respectable. Sexual liberation versus emotional availability. Some queer men who are sexually open or confident, whether they're openly kinky, poly, or just comfortable expressing desires, are often dismissed as air quotes players or air quotes not boyfriend material. Another quote, he's hot but he's slept with too many people, I can't take him seriously, end quote. Again, there's the whore complex. Sexual agency is punished and emotional quotes purity becomes a requirement for commitment. Purity, politics, and dating apps and hookup culture. Apps like Grindr, Tinder, or Scruff often amplify these dynamics. Men are praised for being mask for mask, subtly or overtly devaluing more feminine or expressive identities. Profiles that say things like no femmes or clean only reinforce the binary where purity and desirability are tied to normative masculinity and shame-free histories. These terms create hierarchies of desirability that mirror the Madonna-Whore complex. Cultural influences that reinforce this. Patriarchy still plays a role. Even in queer spaces, patriarchal values about dominance, control, and purity affect how people view others and themselves. Being the top can be seen as more in control, while being the bottom is often infantilized, sexualized, or degraded. Men who are emotional or soft are sometimes viewed as needing protection, but not being capable of holding their own emotional weight, thus seen as too fragile for partnerships. Religion and shame. Many queer men, especially those from religious or conservative backgrounds, carry deep sexual shame. This can lead to seeking out sex in secretive, anonymous ways, then feeling disgusted or disconnected afterwards, associating sex with guilt, which reinforces the split between intimacy and sex. How this affects relationships. Some queer men struggle to maintain sexual desire for partners they deeply love or respect. Others might crave emotionally unavailable partners because a vulnerability is too frightening or unmasculine. There can be a cycle of finding sexual satisfaction in fleeting or disconnected encounters because true emotional intimacy feels off limits with sexual partners. Healing the queer Madonna-Whore complex. Deconstructing internalized misogyny and femphobia recognizes how patriarchal beliefs influence your preferences, attractions, or judgment. Ask, am I valuing someone because they remind me of traits I was taught to dislike? Do I only value someone if they're emotionally restrained or straight acting? Integrating sex and intimacy. Therapy, especially queer affirming therapy, can help untangle how we learn to separate love and lust. Journaling, inner child work, and conversations with friends can also help reconnect sexual expression with emotional safety. Redefining masculinity. Part of the healing this complex involves questioning what masculinity and desirability should look like. Is being a man about being stoic and hard, or could it mean being emotionally available, nurturing, and present? Normalizing sexual histories. Whether someone had 0 partners to 200, their past doesn't define their worthiness of love. Queer men healing from this complex learn to accept sexual agency in others and themselves. Many queer men navigate this complex quietly, especially those who have been called too much for being emotional or feminine, had people ghost them after hookup because they weren't looking for something serious, felt like they had to change who they are to be seen as worthy of more than sex. The goal isn't to kill desire, but to make space for people to be both sensual and sacred. For queer men to love each other fully, we have to allow each other to be whole people. Messy, sexy, soft, strong, and everything in between. So now that we kind of unpacked the relationship between the Madonna-Whore Complex with straight men versus gay men, I'm gonna give a little like story about what I've seen on dating apps, also the hookup app. So and from my friends' experiences and stuff like that. So I believe that the reason why, I feel like everything with the Madonna-Whore Complex is rooted in misogyny. That's what I think. And I feel like this translates to the gay community, like I explained further, because when you go on Grindr profiles that say like mask for mask, or they literally only, I think they have like, oh, only looking for someone that looks like me or like fit or like masculine and stuff like that. So I feel like that kind of enforces the Madonna-Whore Complex that gay men often perpetuate like not liking femme people or femme presenting people, and usually only like, this also translates to you straight men only hooking up with trans women in the dark, which I feel like enforces the Madonna-Whore Complex, but in a more layered level. And a lot of people don't know this part of the world because it's often, no one really talks about it. So I wanted to like bring light to it. This is the point of me making this video. I should have stated that in the very beginning, but I feel like I see a lot of straight men who literally only would date trans women in the dark, or they will only want to hook up with them on these apps. And then this also translates to Tinder, when like you're like a gay man and you're trying to date someone, but like in their bio they also kind of translate. I feel like it's a more sanitized way, because I feel like Grindr is more blunt. But on Tinder, it's like they use like more fluff language. Like they're like, oh, like only interested in gamers. And you know, like gamers are more masculine, or like they're, oh, this is what I am and this is what I'm looking for. Or sometimes on Tinder, they just literally have short-term fun. They're not really looking for a serious relationship. And they value like hooking up more than meaningful relationships. And I feel like that's like the balance we have to work with, because some people want to be like more short-term fun and other people want like a serious relationship. But then in the end, I feel like in the hierarchy, people like someone that's more masculine presenting. For example, like if you use makeup, or a queer man using makeup, like they're probably lower on the hierarchy list of desirability, and they're probably seen more as sexual or sensual rather than like pure and like relationship material. And they probably view masculinity as like the Madonna. Basically anything that doesn't fall into like mask for mask or something, that's like Madonna for them. And then the whore part is like anyone who expresses any feminine attributes, which is fucked up. But anyways, I wanted to just like bring that a little bit to light. You know, just let me know what you guys think. I feel like I want to have more open discussions like this. Like, you could disagree with me, but I just want to have like a respectable conversation in the comments. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. I find this really fascinating. This is like stuff that I really enjoy, and like gender topics and gender identity is something that I really like researching. So I remember when I first learned about the Madonna-Whore Complex, I was like, this kind of, I feel like would translate well in like how it relates to queer men and queer spaces, because I see it a lot, but I feel like no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to have like these deeper conversations. So I just want to like give that platform to that discussion. But yeah, everything I said is like kind of how I feel. Feel free to disagree or agree, or just give your experiences. But thank you for listening, and hope you like my new setup for the night. Oh my god, I'm literally trying to finish this video fast because I'm literally dying of a heat stroke right now, but I had to pull through for y'all guys. But anyways, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.